everyone. Well, today I've come to show you my magazine printed journal that I gave you tutorials on. I went ahead and I printed mine. I didn't print them in a large size. They're just a regular printer size. So, and what I used here, I'll just come out a bit so you can see better. What I've used on the outside is a file folder. And I've got elastic bands holding in my signature so I can change them out anytime I want. So this is kind of just a flip. So we'll get started as soon as I get my camera right. Okay. So we start with the first page. I think you can see that good there. Okay. And then I made background pages just with lines. Some of them don't have lines. It just depends. There were some words in here that kind of I didn't want, so I just sort of I took them out. Here's a darker lined page. It's lined. I don't know if you can see that, and I'm not going to come in any further because I think this should be good enough. And there's that one. Here's one I used an old ledger paper, and I added some brush work in Photoshop, some flowers that I have. I added some background to these shoes and added some lines here. You probably can't see that. I'll show you. I think you can see it there. So, more background paper with lines, and I added some brushwork to fill it in because I didn't want to distort the picture. So it was a square picture and I didn't want to distort it, so I just added brushwork. And here's some lines on this paper. And then there's this one. This is the center. That's basically what my background looks like. Then this one, I added some lines with some background paper that I made. This again was background paper. More brushwork up here. My background paper. Yeah, just lines. More grunge background paper. And more of that, the flower on a ledger. This one here I added some grunge and a couple of lines that give it a little more interest. This is background paper again. This was the one I loved so much. I love this. Absolutely love it. And I added some grunge work up here. Like, these are grunge brushes in Photoshop. And I also have like watercolor stamping that you can do in Photoshop brushes. Also love that so much. I made this grunge background paper with lines. This was commercial use paper, period. Like a scrapbook paper. Digital scrapbook paper that was commercial use. So I just brought it in and put it here as background. I mean, it kind of has dots for lines, so I thought that would work just great. And here I took the image and I used what's it called now? Hang on a second. It's funny how you can just work in Photoshop and you just don't know. It's a custom shape. I just used a custom shape and I cut this picture out with that custom shape in Photoshop. I hope I'm close enough. I may have to do it over, this whole video over, I hope not. And then I've got some again, brushwork in the background of this with some brushes that I got from the graphics fairy as I belong to her subscription. So more of the paper I made. This was a you know what it is. I can't think of the word right now. It's just gone out of my head. And then I just used brushes on the top here and added the picture over the top. Then more line paper here, added the image. Didn't need a full page image of her. I love this. I made this. That's just using many, many, many layers of brushes. This was one I loved in the magazine so much. Here's more of my brushwork in different colors. This is more of a taupe, and this is, of course, a gray. Just to give you an idea, I printed my first time this same image here, and I used, I am using Hammermill inkjet. It makes your digital work really, really good, and it's 24 pound, so it's not photo paper. So I printed this as it was a photo paper, and it was just not good. So I thought, well, I'm going to try. So I printed it again using plain paper. This turned out way better on plain paper than this did. This lost a lot of color, and that's in Photoshop photo quality. So not always do your papers work the best on you just have to test. That's what I did, was just test to see what worked the best. And plain print paper was just perfect for this this printing. So in here I added the same background ledger page with the flowers. Here I added some gesso brushes here and here just to give it a little bit more interest. This was towards the end of me making these pages. I should have been doing this all along because it adds so much more. Anyway, I love my book anyway. We're in the middle now of this signature, so I'm going to turn. Again, I've added some blue flowers with, you just select a color and use your brush. And stamp it down with your brush, and it goes to the color that you selected. So I selected blue, so I got blue, and I added this little bit of blue here. And over here is again the flowers and the ledger paper. Here was another one of my favorite pictures from the magazine, and I added again the background paper. I didn't make a bunch of background papers, but I did change them up. I can still write on these same lines with a darker pen. So but I'm not a writer. This is not a journal for me to write in. I will never use it for that. It's inspiration. This is what this is all about, is inspiration. And it also helps me stay in sync with my Photoshop. I love Photoshop. I don't have to tell you that. You all know that. Now, as I'm looking through here, I would have chosen a different color of background paper here because it's purple. It's kind of a mauvey purple. This has blue and more of a yellow green type background here. But these are just in elastics. I can move them all around. So if you find that you find something you don't like when you put yours together, do them with elastics, because then you can move them around. See, this one I don't mind so much because she has some kind of blue flowers in her hair. And this is on the mauve side, but it takes on that color. And I stamped this with a brush. This again on ledger paper. And yes, I have commercial use ledger paper. Anyway, this is something else that I did. I added a little bit of watercolor stamping with my brush in Photoshop. I used, again, a shape, and I took the images and cut them out of this shape in Photoshop. You can do that in Photoshop. So I love this one as well. Here again is another background. I think I've shown you this one already. This I added some Photoshop brushes that look like gesso, and some more flowers here. And we're in the, no, we're not in the middle. I added this little piece here. Didn't need much, just a little. I added some grunge work with brushes there. Again, the same background, and I love this image. Here, that face is so cute, but I like how all of this works together. It's great. Here's the jars. I love that. We're in the middle now. So we will find images on the left side, because when you fold your pages, that's how it works. Yeah. And I love her work. I believe this is, I don't remember her first name, Lacefield. Funny, I don't remember her first name, but I do her last. Love her work. Love this. This was a, this is a commercial use image from my stash, and I threw it in there just to even up the pages. More brushwork here, image and just background image, background paper again. This I loved. It was so cute. Added some brushed gesso in Photoshop, and again my backgrounds. And these two kind of meet, which sometimes that happens. I can change it though. I can take them out and move them around, but I kind of like this. So we're going into the next signature. There are, I believe there's four. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 4 signatures of 6 pages. So 4 signatures that have 6 pages in each. So that's 24 pages back and forth. 24 per signature, because you're getting 4 images per page. So when you fold it in half. I liked her. These are awesome as well. Again, blue. This is a little bit mauvey for this, so I might switch it up, but I may not. This ended up being the way it is. I like these two together. This is green and this has kind of green. Again, one of my backgrounds. And this is a stamp. I made this stamp actually from a piece of paper. So you can make stamps for Photoshop yourself. This I made in Photoshop. This is a ledger paper again. More background paper, and then there's this one. Again, this should not be mauve, it should be more blue, but I may not have had enough to match that, but that's all right. And I like this one very much. This was amazing. So cute. Very, very, very cute. As you see, some of my pages don't have like gesso and different grunge and that kind of thing. So sometimes I just want to look at the image. And that's the last page. So, gee guys, that's my book. I didn't trim it either. I left all the white, my new printer does not do full page, doesn't do a full background. So I have to print with white, or otherwise trim everything. But I didn't think it looked so bad with the white. I really like it. I like this whole series very much, and it's a lot of test, error, and you know, finding out, you know, what really works and what doesn't work. You know, when I first started thinking, how can I use these images? I don't want to just cut them up and use them in collage. However, this whole book could be my collage now. I mean, it really could, but it won't. Yeah, that's my book. I haven't decorated it yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to put on the front and back and the spine, but I will be doing that, and probably rounding my corners. I hope you like this. Hit like and subscribe if you like my video. Talk to you later. Bye for now.